Hi, it's a lipstick gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I wanted to do a video where I talk about things I'm glad I didn't buy. I've done this before. I'll link the other one for you in the description box down below. But I feel like it's so easy to go through and talk about all the new things and all the things that I've purchased. There are times that I am so glad I skipped on something. And it also helps me remember that I don't have to buy everything. And sometimes it's okay to let someone else try it for me and go, yeah, that's not for me. All right, so I have a whole collection of things here. These are from the Trend Mood 1 Instagram account. I'll try and remember to link that as well. This first one was hard for me to pass up because I love a YSL lip product. But I realized this type of product is not one that I reach for very much. And these are the Inks Vinyl Cream. They looked really beautiful. They're supposed to have a mirror-like shine and have a lot of hydration to them, and that sounded great. But then I was looking at it going, I don't really, if anything, I'm more likely to wear a gloss or a lip oil, and these full-on pigmented lip creams just were not something I could see myself using regularly. And at the 40 something dollar price point, because I know YSL is like what, $45, $49 now, like prices are going up. I just knew that it wasn't going to be something that I was going to find useful. So I'm glad I skipped it. Okay, this one was hard for me to skip, but I had to reason with myself. And this is the Danessa Myricks Lightwork palette, the Freedom palette. So I have one of the original Lightwork palettes. It was all just highlights. It was 6 large pans of highlight. I love that palette. It's beautiful. I use it frequently. It's fantastic. And then for one reason or another, how did I end up with it? Oh, it came in a Beautylish Lucky Bag last year. I got last season's Lightwork palette that was beautiful, but I never used it. Even my 14-year-old who loves really shifty chromy type shades wasn't reaching for it. So I gave it to my cousin. She was visiting this holiday season and she had had her eye on it. And she was lamenting out loud that she never picked it up, and we were talking makeup. And I was like, did you really want it? She goes, yeah, I wanted last year so bad and I didn't get it. And I was like, I have it. I never use it. Do you want it? And she was over the moon, over the moon. And that's what I want. I want the makeup to be used and for people to really enjoy it. So I just realized that even though I love the look of this, for me, it was the fact that you could turn that one big palette into 3 individual palettes, or you could stack them all up. And that the little nameplate on the front, on the back side, it was a mirror. Like everything about it was so cool that you could move the pans around inside each of the individual 3 palettes. Everything about it just seemed brilliant to me, but I just don't use shades like this. I love Danessa's formula when it comes to chrome type eyeshadow products, shimmers and chromes. I think she does a beautiful formula, and I think the price point is actually really great. But I just knew this had so many colors that were outside of my everyday comfort zone. I just wasn't going to use it. And having it on hand to use it just a handful of times before I pass it on to someone else just seemed like a waste of time, a waste of money. And, you know, I hate to have palette just sitting there staring at me. So although she's beautiful, and I'm sure that people who have it and use it love it, I'm just glad that I wasn't one of those who picked it up. Okay, I remember last year, everybody was head over heels for these palettes from Makeup Forever. These were the HD Skin Blush and Glow palettes. They had the palettes that were all full of creams, like 12 creams. And you had the ones that were skin tone shades that you could do highlight and bronzer and, you know, foundation and things like that. And then they came out with blush palettes. And this one at the holidays was calling my name. It was like, buy me. Buy me, buy me. And I had to tell myself no. It was like $80 or $88. I don't remember how much it was. It was expensive, $88. And I was looking at it and I was like, I love cream blushes. I feel like I could use these shades. I feel like the highlight shades would work, but would it be an everyday sort of product for me? At that $88 price point, I would need it to be an everyday sort of product for me. And I have so much other stuff in my collection. I was like, you know what? I like bouncing around. I like trying something different every day. I like not always using the same thing. And I feel like with that type of an investment, I would want to use it so regularly that other things would go bad just sitting waiting in the wings. So I'm kind of glad I skipped it. And then there's that part of me that's like, man, it is still pretty. Just looking at it, but I'm glad that I did not grab it. All right, here's another face palette that I'm glad I skipped. I bought something else instead. And this was the Holiday 2024 collection from Dior, and it was their Face Glow palette, their Celestial Glow. Okay, I had never tried one of the Backstage glow palettes, and I decided to get the original '01 palette this year. I got it during the Sephora sale in the fall, and I love it. And I remember seeing so many people pick up this one, and I was like, well, these shades are a little bit lighter. They would probably work a little bit better, because I think we had already known that this was coming. And I was trying to decide between this one and the original '01 palette. And this one, although it has that kind of lavendery blue shade in there, I was like, you know, I could probably use these shades. But I heard nothing but bad reviews, how this formula wasn't as beautiful and easy to use as the '01. And that's where I'm just like, wait, if you can't expect consistency at the Dior price point, at the luxury price point, like, isn't that really what we're looking for? The minute the brands start to become inconsistent, I get so frustrated, but I'm really glad that I skipped this palette. I dithered over this so much. I had to keep telling myself, you're really not going to use these. You're really not going to use these. And these were the Luminous Legends limited edition Pat McGrath Holiday for 2024. That big giant palette, although it's beautiful, I don't use shades like that. Like, I would probably use like maybe a third of the shades in there, and the rest of them would just sit there and stare at me. And then I was like, well, maybe I get one of the little duos. But the truth is, I have a lot of those shades. Like, I probably would have pulled for either the little duo that was kind of pink and beige, or the olive and a slightly warm champagne shade. I have those shades in singles, and I could make myself like a little palette of these two and these two and these two from what I already have. And now I know Pat McGrath's formula is very different than most other brands. And although I think that's interesting, it's not enough to pull me in. I remember liking one of the 5-pan palettes that I picked up last year, but as I was looking through my collection, I realized that in the summertime, my best friend came to visit, and I was like, oh, let's go through my collection and see if there's any. And she fell in love with it. I was like, take it. I'm not using it. And I had to remind myself that everything that I got last year from the Pat McGrath holiday collection, I have not used. So I'm so glad I didn't pick any of these up. I know a lot of people were reviewing them, and although they are lovely to look at, there's just not a place in my collection for these types of color stories. Okay, these were ones that I had to tell myself no, because they would have been easy to snap up, easy to use, and very usable because they are really pretty interesting color stories. These were the Mini Spice and the Sugar palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills. They were only $29 a piece, and I was like, oh, great. And I heard good reviews about them. And that little Spice palette, just a bunch of neutrals, little 9-pan neutral palette, come on, that was like calling my name. And then the Sugar palette, I think those are the types of blues that I could see myself wearing. And I'm normally not a blue sort of person, but mixed with those pinks and the neutrals in there, I could see myself using every single shade in that palette. And that would have been a fun palette for me that, you know, would bring blue into my everyday makeup wardrobe. But the truth is, I don't feel like I've missed out on not having these. Were they good? I heard good reviews about them. Did I miss out? At this point, I really don't feel like I did. And I'm really glad that I didn't spend the $60 to get both of them. They're lovely, but I'm kind of glad that I said no. All right, these were everywhere and everybody was talking about these. And these are the glitter eyeshadows from e.l.f. Cosmetics. These little 6 pans, individual pans, they look like they're trying to be a dupe for the Urban Decay, what are they? Moon Dust shadows. They look so pretty. I love the packaging. The packaging looks beautiful. It doesn't look, it looks more like mid-price as opposed to budget $6 elf eyeshadows. But the truth is, everybody said there was so much glitter fallout from these. I'm glad I didn't even spend the $6 to try one of them. I have enough sparkly eyeshadows. I don't need any more. And I feel like there's a lot that elf has been releasing that, although it looks intriguing, in the end, it's not that fantastic. And maybe, here's where I wonder, is it good for the drugstore? Perhaps. But I'm looking for, is it good? I don't want to have the qualifier on there for the drugstore. I just want it to be good. And from what I heard from people, these were not good. Like, were they sparkly? Yeah. Did they leave glitter everywhere? Yeah. I was seriously this close to buying this. And it was the limited edition illuminating powder from Hermes. I did a video earlier this week talking about brands that I want to try more of in 2025. And when I was on the Hermes website looking around, they still have this available for purchase. And it's still like $105. And I was like, wait, no. No. You don't need it. But it was still just like, hello, I'm here. It's beautiful. But I've been buying a lot of highlight recently, and I'm happy with what I have. I don't need to spend more than $100 just to find out that something else is also lovely, but very similar to what I already have. Here's one that was kind of polarizing. Some people loved it, and some people said it was the worst thing they had ever tried. And it was the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes eyeshadow palette in Moonlight. So first of all, that nearly $70 price point, it was 68 bucks for this 12 pan palette. I thought everything in here would have been beautiful and I would have used except for the black and the blue. That deep navy blue, although is really pretty, I don't know that I would have used it that much. And I almost never reach for a black eyeshadow. I mean, there's one in my collection that I like and that I use, but most of the time it's a deep charcoal gray. It's, maybe a deep dark brown. It's never a navy or a black, but the other 10 shades in here just look so beautiful. And I remember kind of feeling a little bit like I missed out on the original Ethereal Eyes, but this Moonlight version, some people said it was like the most beautiful. I remember Nikki LaRose saying she loved it. It was her favorite eyeshadow palette of the season. And some other people, was it the two guys on Beautiful and Bothered, Johnny and Kevin, were like, so I heard split decisions each way, where some people just thought it was the best and some people were having problems with it. And I don't know if that's a manufacturing inconsistency, but the truth is, this is basically a nude palette with some dark pops to make it a little bit smoky, a little bit cooler. And the truth is, I have colors like this because the two that I wouldn't use is kind of what makes it interesting and unique. But the rest of those shades, the beiges, the shimmers, the browns, the cool grays, I have all of those. And I could probably very easily duplicate a look out of the pans that I would have used from this with what I already have. Man, there's a lot of eyeshadow I said no to as I'm going through this list. The next one is from Natasha Denona. It's the Roxa palette. I'd had such good experiences with the more nude palettes, like the Golden palette, the I Need a Warm, I Need a Nude, and what was the other one that I have? The Glam palette. I love those four so much. They are exactly what I like to wear, but they're very neutral, and some of them neutral warm leaning, and that works fine for me. But when I saw this Roxa palette, I was like, I could use a lot of the shades in there, but I'm very intimidated by purple palettes. And this is a very, purple leaning look. And I was like, maybe I should just get it for review purposes. But then I thought, what am I going to do with a $70 palette that I just don't use? It would kind of be a shame. So this is one that I'm glad that I skipped, because I just don't wear those shades. And I just thought about it. I just bought a purple palette. But it's one that I've had my eye on for a long time. And yeah, but this one from Natasha Denona, although it's beautiful, and when I see people create looks with it, I'm just like, oh, that's so fantastic. It just wasn't for me. Sometimes there are kits at the holidays, like little sets, duos, or trios of products that come together that I haven't tried and I'd be so excited to try. And one of them was from House Labs. They had a duo of blushes and they had their Color Fuse Innovation Glassy Balm. That's what I hadn't tried, along with one of their powder blush. And the duo, normally it would have gone, like that duo would have been priced at $66 if you bought each item separately. But together they were at $49. And I was like, okay, I like the House Labs blush that I already have. This shade that's in this duo is not one that I have. I could make use of both of those things, but I need more blush, like I need another hole in my head. I have so much blush, it's coming out my ears. I did a like recent additions to my blush collection video if you're curious. I'll link it for you here and the description box down below. But I just like so much blush, so much blush. And there's more blush that's coming out. I've seen like just recently that Rare Beauty is coming out with a bouncy blush in March. There's so many other brands, like Urban Decay has blushes, Natasha Denona has new blushes, everybody has a new blush, Tower 28 has new blushes. I feel like 2023 was the year of blush, but apparently not, because so is 2024, and it looks like so is 2025. Looks like we're just headed straight down like the blush road, and we'll see if, you know, if we kind of take a left or a right turn. But I'm really glad I didn't get this. I did really want to try that glassy balm stick, but the truth is I've got so much product. I don't feel like I missed out by not getting this. Here's a product type that I feel is kind of played out. I mean, when it first kind of hit, it was really interesting. And that's a gloss in stick form. And Milani had their new Keep It Full Glossy Plumping Balms, very much like the Tarte Maracuja plumping balms that you click up in those pens. Let's see, do I have one here? Yeah, like something like this. Now, these are in the mid-20s now. And so finding something at the drugstore that is probably, what, $16 is great, but still $16 for a plumping gloss. The other thing is I feel like we've been doing these types of products for a long time. You may not remember, but I remember loving the Marc Jacobs Gloss and Stick. Oh, that was so good. And that was when there still was a Marc Jacobs makeup line. I remember that Sephora had something very, very similar to that. And then I started seeing it everywhere. M Cosmetics came out with it. And then Tarte came out with these Tarte Maracuja, whatever they are, their lip plumpers. And I really feel like since then, everybody has fallen, like e.l.f. has one, Milani has one. There are ones from IT Cosmetics. You can find them like from nearly every single brand has something similar to this. I know it's a very popular type of product, but I also kind of feel like its season is coming to an end. That even though we're trickling down to the drugstore, I'm just not sure that this is going to be the type of product that we're going to see this time next year. I think it's going to be a completely different type of product. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm glad I didn't pick these up because there is always that curiosity with me because I do like a glossy, juicy sort of, you know, hourglass phantom lip balm moment. But yeah, at $16, I just couldn't justify trying the one from Milani. I have been really excited to try new brow products recently. I don't know what it is. Something has really just been kind of like, ooh, try this, ooh, try that. And I saw that e.l.f. had a new Holy Strokes Micro Fine Brow Pen. And the minute I read those words, micro fine, I've had so much success with micro pencils. And there is a really fine tipped, super fine tip, the 2-in-1 from Maybelline, the Brow Builder. That is amazing. Is it the Build a Brow? I forget what it's called, but the 2-in-1 where it has gel on one side and a little tiny pen on the other. And I like that so much. And I was like, ooh, does e.l.f. have a really great little tiny pen in? And as I was mentioning it in the Will I Buy It, someone said, I tried it, don't get it. And I was like, okay, that's all I need to hear. I feel like there have been a lot of products from e.l.f. that have been maybe a little e.l.f. curious, and I just haven't spent the money. This is one that I'm glad that I skipped. Another e.l.f. product that I'm glad that I skipped were the Glow Reviver Lip Oil Shimmers. They look beautiful. I'm just not using the lip oils that I have. I've been kind of not, as I'm talking with the lip oil on right now, I'm just not in a lip oil moment. And maybe this one's going to change it. This is the one from Crave. This is the Plumptuous Lip Jelly Oil. I think it's really pretty, but I haven't been reaching, other than this lip oil, I haven't really been reaching for other ones. So I didn't even feel like I was missing out. I saw it. I saw people talking about it. I know that people like it, but you know, it was kind of one of those that I'm like, yeah, I have 2 lip oils from e.l.f. I like them. I use them occasionally. But this time last year, I couldn't stop using them. I was just like addicted. But I feel like I'm out of that season. We'll see if this one from Crave pulls me back in, but I'm not missing that one at all. Man, e.l.f. There's a lot on this list. I feel like it's e.l.f., e.l.f., e.l.f. The Halo Glow Powder Filter. This is the pressed powder in a compact. And what is it? $14, I think, maybe. I was about to buy this blind, buy the lightest shade blind and just have it shipped to me. And I was like, no, just wait. You've been buying a lot of powder recently. You may not necessarily like it. I do like the original e.l.f. Halo Glow, the loose setting powder. And I was like, well, if I like that, I'll probably like this. And I thought, well, you use a loose setting powder a little bit more than you use a press setting powder. So just keep using the e.l.f. one that you already have. But then when I saw these finally in store, I went to my local Ulta and I saw one of these in store and I was like, wait, what? Turns out that the lightest one would have been way too dark for me. Way too dark. And a lot of people are saying there's also just too much mica. They're just too reflective. They're just too glowy. And the last thing I need is a powder that acts like a highlight on my skin. Although I do wear a highlight, I like highlights that are a little bit less, not too glittery, not too shimmery. And I feel like this, from what I've heard, this was not going to be it for me and would not have worked well on my 50-year-old skin. Here's a case of the packaging pulled me in. I was literally this close to buying something from this collection until I kind of started reading the description. And this is from Valentino. It was celebrating the new year with a new limited edition packaging. And the color was inspired by couture. They have this beautiful purple product packaging that I just was like, oh, and I wanted one of the lipsticks. And as I was looking through the lipsticks, you know what's funny? The shade that I wanted is the shade I already have in the regular packaging. And she's right here. This is Couture in the Streets. This is the one that I would have gotten. Now, if I could trade this one for the purple packaging, probably would, because I love that purple. That's just stunning. But this lipstick is great. Why would I want it again, just in different packaging? And I feel like the other shades that were in the lineup were similar enough. Some of them were a little bit more pink, and I don't really wear like some of those lighter pale pinks. I don't know. I just feel like I already have what I like. What was I thinking? I was thinking the packaging pulled me in. I am glad though. I have done this before where the packaging pulled me in. I did it with a YSL quad, and instead of reading what the shade number was, it was the same shade that I already had, shade 100 Stora Dolls in the eyeshadow quad. So I've done that before. So I have a brand new one just sitting to the side that's got special limited edition packaging on it, and the product inside is beautiful, but I already has it. And so I'm glad I didn't do something like that here with this. All right, I've heard a lot of people really love this, and I could see where this would be so useful, but I'm kind of glad I passed on the new mini eye sculpt palette from Natasha Denona, the one that's all matte. I have probably every single one of those shades, even a Natasha Denona formula that I could pull out, because her midi palettes, you can, remove certain ones, and I could make my own like that. Would it be identical? Maybe not, but it would be so close that I don't know that you'd be able to tell once it's on the eye. I also have those shades, from Viseart. I have those shades from Sydney Grace. I could pull those out and create my own palette with either one of those brands. So I just felt really good about skipping this. I know a lot of people really love it, and it's great for an everyday go-to palette or to take traveling with you. I just don't think it would be as useful to me, so I'm glad I didn't spend the $27 on it. The other thing, these are a little bit newer, and I was really close to buying one of these, and I told myself, you hardly use the two that you already have. And these are the new blush shades from the Headlines Double Take Cream to Powder Duos from Patrick Ta. Like, some of these shades just look stunning. Now, I don't know that I'd be able to pull off the red one, but that one just was like calling to me for whatever reason, as was the deepest one that has like the berry shades to it. They look so beautiful, but I think both of those shades would be too saturated for my fair skin tone. I'd probably be able to use the two lighter ones, but the truth is, if I'm not using the two that I already have, why would I want to buy more? Just because there's a shade extension, I feel like he's got so many shades of this blush. This has been the one product that has kind of been like a hero product for him. It does really, really well. And I'm happy for that, but the truth is, I was happy to say no to the blush. Last thing, and you may be going, what? Okay, I literally thought about this, and not because I would actually use it the way that it was used in the haute couture shows, but because I would use it as skincare. And it's the Fetish Glass Artistry Mask from Pat McGrath. So you can put it over makeup, and it gives you that beautiful Maison Margiela look on the face where it looks like a porcelain doll, where it's glassy and shiny over the top of makeup. But I would never really wear it that way. I know myself, I would never do that. But it is also a peel off mask, actually helps to gently refresh the skin. It has hydrating properties to it, like the skincare part of it. And then I realized, you know what? You have so many other masks here at the house that you hardly use. Why would you get this one just because everyone's talking about it? And that's not a good enough reason to spend your dollars. So I basically told myself no. And now that I'm looking back on it, it's rather foolish. I mean, if I was the sort of person who'd want to walk around, with a serious fashion look on my face, but that's not who I am. Even though I wasn't going to use it in the way that it was used for the Maison Margiela haute couture show, I just realized that that's what the buzz was all about, and this product was created because of all of the buzz that show got. And the truth is, although it's really interesting, I don't think it has enough skincare ingredients in it to make me have to have it, where there are less expensive ways if I wanted to do a peel off mask than do something like this. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching today. I would love to know, are there products that you thought about and thought about and thought about and you finally talked yourself out of? Or ones that you were really curious to try and then you heard a review and you're like, ooh, I'm glad I dodged that bullet. Let me know what those are in the comment sections down below. Thank you so, so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you again soon.